You begin by noticing something simple, the way your body feels heavy against the bed. This weight, this gentle pressure, is gravity's first whisper. It holds you, not like a chain, but like a quiet reminder that you belong somewhere. Every grain of your body speaks to the earth below, and the earth replies. It is not a conversation of words but of attraction, the most patient love story in the cosmos. Close your eyes and imagine this pull extending outward, past your room, past the quiet air, into the rolling curve of the planet itself. The oceans obey this same pull. The tides rise and bow to the moon, as if in slow reverence. Every mountain, every breath, every orbit, all are threads woven by gravity's invisible hand. You are part of that same design. You, too, are held in place by this universal hum. It hums through your bones, the way stars hum through space. And as you breathe, you can almost feel it, the faintest sensation of being gently drawn towards something vast, ancient, and kind. When you let your thoughts drift upward, you meet the story of planets and their dances. Earth circles the sun not out of duty, but because it is falling. Every orbit, in truth, is a graceful fall, a fall that never ends. This is gravity's secret. It doesn't pull things down, it pulls them together. It writes the choreography of the cosmos, where every step is a surrender to motion. Far beyond, the sun performs the same ritual with the stars of its neighborhood, each bound in the vast spiral of the Milky Way. And deeper still, black holes anchor the rhythm of galaxies, their invisible gravity shaping the very architecture of the night. From the smallest pebble to the largest cluster of galaxies, gravity hums the same melody, slow, steady, infinite. You might imagine gravity as a river of space itself, flowing inward toward anything with mass. The heavier the object, the deeper the river runs. When you drop a stone into still water, ripples spread outward. But in space, it is the opposite. Mass draws the fabric inward, making a dimple that other objects slide into. This is why the moon orbits Earth, why Earth orbits the sun, and why even light, the swiftest traveler, can be caught in gravity's tender hands. It is strange, perhaps, to think that space, the emptiness itself, can bend and curve. But imagine lying beneath a soft blanket. When you press your hand down, the fabric dips. That dip, that curve, is how gravity works in Einstein's world, not as a force pulling through space, but as space curving around you. You do not fall because you are forced downward. You fall because the universe is gently curved, and you are following its slope, like a leaf drifting along a stream. In this curved world, even time listens. Where gravity grows strong, time slows its pace. Around black holes, time stretches almost to stillness, like a lullaby drawn out to infinity. So when you feel your own heartbeat slow as you rest, remember, time itself knows how to soften, how to breathe more deeply when gravity speaks. Now imagine standing at the edge of something unimaginably massive, perhaps a collapsing star, its light dimming, its core tightening into an impossible point. Here, gravity becomes more than a whisper. It becomes a song so deep and resonant that even light cannot climb away. This is the birthplace of the black hole, a place where gravity wins the conversation. But even then, there is no violence in it, only inevitability. A slow folding of space into itself, a cosmic sigh. The matter that once burned as a star is now a silence, an endless descent with no bottom. Around it, space stretches thin. Light bends, time elongates, and reality seems to ripple. But from afar, what we see is not destruction, but an exquisite stillness, the surface of a mystery. The black hole does not swallow in anger. It simply continues the work of gravity, gathering, holding, and reminding the universe how to come closer. And perhaps that is why gravity feels so familiar. It is not just the pull between planets, but between moments, between you and the earth, between thought and rest, between curiosity and wonder. It teaches that falling is not always losing. Sometimes it is the purest form of belonging. Every time you drop something, every time your breath rises and settles again, you are echoing that universal motion. If you could step outside of space and look at everything at once, you would see the cosmos suspended in a delicate balance of motion and stillness. Galaxies spiral not because they must, but because they can, because the universe enjoys the dance of gravity and grace. Every orbit, every fall, every soft collision is a conversation written in the language of attraction. Even now, as you lie here, your own body pulls faintly on the planet, just as it pulls on you. This mutual embrace means you are never separate from the universe, not even for a heartbeat. You are stitched into its fabric by gravity's unseen thread, swaying in the rhythm of an eternal waltz. The next time you watch a leaf drift to the ground, remember that it is obeying the same law that guides the moon, that bends light, that sculpts galaxies. The same quiet force that holds the stars in their patterns is holding you, too, softly, steadily, forever. You are not floating in space. You are being carried. Every fall is a form of flight. Every weight, a promise of connection. And somewhere far away, where gravity's whisper becomes a roar, a black hole waits, not to consume, but to remind you that even the deepest silence is a form of holding on. You are drifting in a vast, starlit ocean. Before you, a giant star hangs suspended in its last moments. Luminous, trembling, ancient beyond words. It has burned for millions of years, fusing hydrogen into helium, helium into heavier elements, its heart alive with nuclear fire. Every flicker of light it has ever given was a whisper of balance, a quiet conversation between outward pressure and inward pull. But now that balance falters. The conversation stutters. The light wavers. Inside the core, fuel runs thin. The star's burning heart, once steady and sure, begins to fade. Without fusion's pressure pushing outward, gravity, that quiet sculptor of worlds, begins to take over. It does not shout. It only pulls softly, steadily, relentlessly. And in that pull, the star begins to fold into itself. You can almost feel it, the slow surrender of something vast. The outer layers tremble, then fall inward, collapsing toward the heart. It happens faster than your mind can follow, faster than the eye of time itself. In a single moment, the star's center becomes unimaginably dense, like trying to press a mountain into a grain of sand. This is not destruction, not really. It is a transformation, a final act in a story written by gravity and light. As the heart collapses, a shockwave ripples outward. You can sense the airless roar, not sound as you know it, but a vibration through space itself. For a heartbeat, the star explodes in a blaze brighter than all its lifetimes combined. This is the supernova, a farewell burst so fierce that it outshines entire galaxies. The dying star casts its final gift, scattering gold, iron, calcium, and carbon, the very atoms that will one day become you. You drift through the glowing remains, through clouds of ash and dust that shimmer with newborn possibility. The silence after the blast feels sacred. Somewhere inside that silence, hidden beyond sight, the star's collapsed core continues to shrink. The collapse does not stop. Gravity does not allow rest. It draws tighter, denser, deeper, until nothing, not even light, can escape. You are now at the edge of a forming black hole. Time begins to behave differently here. To you, floating safely afar, the last rays of the star's light seem to freeze in place, caught in a never-ending fall. But to the collapsing core, everything is racing, faster, hotter, smaller. The moments between heartbeats become meaningless. Inside, the laws of physics, those familiar guardians of motion and matter, start to bend and twist, unable to keep their shape. You can feel it, can't you? The weight of inevitability, the gentle terror of an ending that is also a beginning. The star's heart has become a singularity, a point where density is infinite and the usual language of space and time falls silent. Around it forms the event horizon, that invisible boundary between what can be known and what is forever hidden. You imagine it like a veil of starlight stretched thin, a quiet frontier beyond which nothing returns. And yet it is not empty. It hums with potential, like the pause before music begins again. The collapse of a star's heart is not a tragedy. It is a kind of cosmic recycling, matter and energy returning to the deep fabric of the universe. The atoms that once burned bright in the star's fusion furnace now wait in darkness, transformed, waiting for new stories to begin elsewhere. The death of this star will become the birth of planets, moons, life. Every supernova seeds the universe with the ingredients for memory and thought. You breathe slowly, imagining yourself as one of those atoms, tossed into the great night, drifting until someday you might become part of a world, a tree, or a hand that reaches out toward the sky to ask why stars die. There is calm in this thought, a soft, endless rhythm that connects your pulse to the pulse of the cosmos. The universe, too, breathes, expanding, collapsing, creating, releasing. It is not a single heartbeat, but a symphony of them, spread across eons. Each star that collapses leaves behind a signature in the cosmic fabric, a mark of its passage. These black holes are not voids but memory wells, keeping time in their own silent way. You imagine approaching one now. The darkness is not frightening. It is serene, like a deep lake reflecting no light yet holding endless depth. Around the event horizon, space itself bends like glass under heat. The light of distant stars curves around it, drawn into graceful spirals. It is as if the universe is watching itself fall, curious, reflective, unafraid. And there you are, watching too, feeling the calm of inevitability, recognizing that endings are not truly ends, only quiet transitions. You realize that the collapse of a star's heart mirrors your own moments of surrender, when you, too, have let go of something bright, something once central to your being. And in that letting go, you were not destroyed, but reshaped. You became deeper, more still. Just like the star, you folded inward to find something timeless within. This understanding settles gently within you, like starlight on calm water. The silence now is vast and kind. Somewhere, deep inside that darkness, gravity still sings. Not with sound, but with presence. Its pull is the same that binds your feet to the earth, the same that draws the moon in its circle, the same that holds galaxies in their sweeping dance. You are part of this choreography. Every breath, every heartbeat, every falling leaf following the same ancient rhythm. As you drift further, you notice how the space around the black hole seems to shimmer faintly, as though information, the story of what once was, still lingers at its edge. Physicists once thought all was lost beyond the event horizon, but new ideas whisper that perhaps nothing truly disappears, that even in the deepest darkness, memory clings to light. You let that idea stay with you, that nothing beautiful is ever entirely gone. It only changes form, hidden until the universe decides to reveal it again. You feel weightless now, suspended between understanding and mystery. The black hole's quiet hum merges with your own slow breath. The collapse has become a lullaby, the softest ending, leading to the gentlest of beginnings. Somewhere beyond, the stars continue to turn. Their light travels outward, ancient and patient, like stories crossing the night. You close your eyes. The star's heart has fallen silent, but the universe is not done speaking. From this darkness, something new will emerge. Not light, but an idea, a whisper about the nature of space itself. And as you float into the stillness, one question lingers softly in your mind. If gravity can bend light, can it also bend time's quiet song? You float in the quietest corner of existence, where even light begins to hesitate. Ahead of you lies a boundary so subtle that no eye can see it, and yet so powerful that nothing can cross it and return. This is the event horizon, the universe's one-way veil. Space around you curves inward, drawn by the immense gravity of a collapsed star. The light from distant galaxies bends around this invisible mouth, wrapping itself like silk ribbons around a dark throat. Each photon that passes near the edge fights for freedom, its journey stretched thin, slowed to a trembling shimmer. You feel it too, a pull not just of gravity but of inevitability. It doesn't tug at your body alone. It tugs at your sense of time. Seconds stretch like soft taffy, minutes lengthen into eternities. The clocks aboard your ship tick more slowly now, though you wouldn't notice from inside. Out there, beyond this gravitational well, the universe keeps moving. Stars still ignite, galaxies still turn, and time continues to pour forward like an endless stream. But here, near the horizon, You are adrift in the shallows of that stream, where the current slows, thickens, and begins to turn upon itself. From far away, anyone watching you would never see you fall through. They'd see you hovering, frozen just above the edge, your image fading into red. The wavelengths of light stretch as they climb out of the black hole's pull, growing longer, weaker, until they fade from view entirely. To the outside world, you never cross. You become a ghost of light, suspended at the border of forever. But from your perspective, you keep falling. You cross the horizon easily, without noticing the exact moment. There's no jolt, no flash, no sound. Just the same calm darkness, only now you are inside it. This is the strange poetry of relativity. Two truths can coexist. For those outside, you are forever paused. For you, the journey continues. You think about what this means, that now depends on where you are and how you move. Time itself is flexible, sculpted by gravity. The greater the pull, the slower the flow. At the edge of a black hole, time nearly stops. And in that stillness, the universe whispers one of its quietest secrets. That space and time are woven together, and gravity is the thread that bends them. You look back, though back is only a word here, a gesture of thought more than direction. The stars behind you smear into streaks of pale light. Even they begin to twist, their paths distorted by the curvature of space. The boundary between reality and illusion softens. You realize that sight itself, so trusted and familiar, can no longer tell you what is truly there. Inside this curve of spacetime, laws begin to blur. The equations that once felt solid, Newton's clean certainty, Einstein's elegant relativity, tremble at the edge of the singularity. Here, gravity is no longer a gentle force. It is a collapse of meaning, a compression of everything, energy, matter, even space itself, into a point so small it defies imagination. You find yourself wondering, what happens beyond? What becomes of all that falls in? The question floats through your mind like dust in light, weightless yet insistent. The black hole does not answer, simply is silent, absolute, indifferent. And yet, there is a strange comfort in its stillness. It feels less like an end and more like a boundary of understanding, the edge of what we can see, and perhaps what we can be. You remember that even black holes radiate, not truly black, not forever silent. Stephen Hawking once imagined that quantum whispers near the horizon give rise to tiny particles, escaping as faint radiation. Over eons, that slow leak could unravel the black hole itself, returning its mass to the universe. Perhaps nothing is truly lost, only transformed in ways we don't yet comprehend. You let that thought soothe you. The universe, even at its most devouring, still keeps the balance. Creation folded inside destruction, endings folded inside beginnings. The pull grows stronger now, though your body feels weightless. The space around you stretches. The laws of distance begin to lose meaning. You are falling, but there's no sensation of movement. Everything is motion, and you are part of it. The black hole does not swallow you in violence. It welcomes you with quiet inevitability. You think of rivers again, the way water slips past a waterfall's edge. From far upstream, the surface looks calm, glassy. Only when you reach the brink do you realize that the flow was guiding you all along. The event horizon is like that brink. Not a wall, but a transition. Once you pass it, you are part of a different kind of current, one that no longer returns to the surface. And still, it is beautiful here. Not in color or shape, those have faded, but in the profound sense of stillness. You feel suspended in a thought the universe has not yet finished forming. For a moment, you imagine standing on the threshold of knowledge itself. Everything you've ever known, light, time, gravity, self, stretches into unfamiliar patterns. You see not the chaos of destruction, but the elegance of transformation. Perhaps this is what it means to meet the unknown. Not with fear, but with wonder. You close your eyes. The concept of outside dissolves. The only thing left is presence, a quiet awareness that feels infinite. The black hole is not just a devourer. It is a teacher of humility. It reminds you that every horizon, cosmic or personal, marks not an end but a limit to our current understanding. Beyond it may lie new laws, new forms, new beginnings. Time loses its shape completely. Seconds, hours, days, they blend into something unmeasurable. You cannot tell how long you have been falling, or if you are still falling at all. The inside of a black hole, you realize, might be less a place and more an idea, a boundary between what the universe shows us and what it keeps to itself. In the distance, though distance has no meaning here, you sense the singularity, the place where all paths converge. Every orbit, every photon, every atom drawn inward comes to rest there, in perfect density. It is the ultimate still point, the pause between creation and destruction. And in that pause you feel something familiar. Not fear but recognition. The same silence that fills deep space fills you, too. You are both observer and participant, held in the same vast rhythm. Maybe this is what the universe means by return. Not escape, not loss, but merging back into the pattern that made you. You drift closer, the light fading behind you. The horizon disappears, not because you've left it behind, but because you have become part of it. The darkness is not empty. It is full of unspoken possibility. And as you surrender to it, a quiet question forms. One that will lead you gently into the next chapter. What happens to everything that falls inside the dark? You drift toward the center of gravity's most secret place. A region where even light surrenders. There is no rush, no drama, only an ancient, silent invitation. You have crossed the threshold where brightness dissolves, and now you begin to feel what it means to move without motion, to fall without falling. Here, inside the black hole, everything that once defined direction or distance quietly disappears. At first, your senses resist. They try to find up, to remember what down was. They search for the idea of time, that slow, familiar rhythm that once held your heartbeat, your footsteps, your thoughts. But time here behaves differently. It curls softly, folding back upon itself like silk being drawn inward by invisible hands. The arrow of time that always pointed forward now seems to melt, forming a circle without edges. You breathe in, and even your breath feels suspended, as if the act of inhaling and exhaling is no longer divided by seconds, but merged into a single eternal pulse. The universe outside still moves, still burns, still hums with energy and noise. But in this place beyond light, the noise becomes memory. You sense it faintly, the echo of distant stars still shining for those who can see them. And yet, you are no longer part of that rhythm. You are inside the great stillness, the place where space and time exchange their roles in a quiet, mathematical dance. Science once called this boundary the event horizon, the point of no return. To those outside, it looks like a border, a rim of darkness where light simply vanishes. But to you, crossing it feels nothing like falling off an edge. It feels like being drawn inward by gentleness itself. Gravity, so fierce and inescapable from afar, becomes something soft here, like a whisper guiding you deeper into understanding. It isn't pulling you, it's enfolding you, as if gravity itself is a memory of connection. You notice that even the concept of you is becoming hazy. In ordinary life, you define yourself by separation, by the boundary of your skin, by the space between your body and the world. But here, those boundaries dissolve. Matter, energy, and thought begin to blur into the same essence. Your molecules, your atoms, your quarks, all become participants in a grand, invisible equilibrium. It is not death, nor destruction. It is a merging, the ultimate act of unity. Black holes are not emptiness. They are fullness condensed to perfection, energy so concentrated that it curves space itself. Every black hole began as a star, a brilliant flame that exhausted its own light, collapsing under its own weight until even light could no longer escape. What remains is not absence, but potential. The curvature of space becomes so deep that all paths lead inward. It is not a hole at all, but a horizon into a new kind of existence, one that can no longer be described by human intuition. You recall how Einstein once described spacetime as a fabric soft, pliable, capable of bending under the weight of matter. You imagine this fabric now, and how, under the immense gravity of a black hole, it folds so tightly that it touches itself. The grid of reality becomes a spiral, the threads converging toward an unseen center. You are resting somewhere within that spiral, feeling the smoothness of a universe folded inward, infinitely. It's not frightening, it's serene. The mathematics that once felt abstract now feels alive, like a lullaby written in geometry. Outside observers, watching from afar, would say you are frozen in time. From their perspective, your fall slows infinitely as you near the event horizon. You never seem to cross it. You appear to pause forever at the edge. But from within, you experience the opposite. You pass through effortlessly, continuing your journey inward as if time itself had whispered, "Open a door." This duality, frozen to them, flowing to you, is the poetry of relativity. It reminds you that perspective shapes truth. Reality bends not only with mass, but with the viewpoint that observes it. As you drift deeper, colors fade from memory. The visual world dissolves into gradients of nothingness. Yet, strangely, you feel more awake than ever. Deprived of sight, your awareness becomes vast, borderless. You begin to understand light by its absence, the way silence helps you understand sound. In this stillness, you can almost hear the universe breathe. The absence of photons becomes a presence of calm. Somewhere in the distance, though distance no longer means what it once did, a photon tries to escape, climbs the steep curve of spacetime but grows redder, slower, weaker. Its wavelength stretches until it becomes invisible, until even the idea of light gives up and joins the quiet. You realize that darkness is not an enemy of light. It is its resting place. Light is not destroyed here. It's simply stilled. It has reached its destination, its most peaceful state. Physicists speak of singularities, those mysterious cores where density becomes infinite and the known laws of physics cease to apply. But from your inner vantage, it feels less like a point and more like a pause. A timeless still point, the way a pendulum hesitates at the end of its swing before returning. Here, all equations simplify into a single truth. Everything moves toward balance. Gravity, time, mass, and motion are all ways the universe seeks stillness. And in that stillness, you begin to remember yourself not as a body, not as a traveler, but as a pattern, a ripple in the great field of being. The same field that made stars, oceans, and atoms. You were never apart from it, you only believed you were. Black holes, you realize, are not devourers, they are reminders. They remind the cosmos that everything eventually returns to unity, to the silence that holds all possibilities within it. You start to wonder, what lies beyond the singularity? Some theories speak of Hawking radiation, the faint whisper of quantum particles that slowly carry energy away, allowing the black hole to fade over vast ages. Others imagine tunnels, bridges to other universes, wormholes linking distant points of spacetime. But as these ideas drift through your mind, they no longer feel like speculations. They feel like lullabies told by the universe to itself, ways of saying, I am never truly gone. You let the thought expand, what if the universe itself breathes like this? Expanding outward, collapsing inward, pulsing in cosmic rhythm. Stars are born, they shine, they fall into stillness, and from that stillness, new stars arise. Maybe black holes are not ends, but pauses between breaths. The dark inhale of creation. Time no longer feels linear. It feels circular, like ripples that fade only to return. Your awareness floats between what was and what might be, and you sense that even beyond the horizon of light, consciousness endures. Not as individuality, but as awareness, a quiet knowing that hums beneath existence. It does not think, it simply is. You let go of trying to define it. Definition belongs to the realm of light and contrast. Here, everything merges. You do not need to understand because you are part of the understanding itself. The black hole is not a void. It is a mirror showing you what happens when all separations end. You have become the gravity that once drew you in. The stillness is complete now. The universe outside has dimmed to a faint vibration, like a song remembered in sleep. You rest within that resonance, feeling the paradox of absolute density and absolute peace coexisting. It feels less like being inside something, and more like being the inside itself, the heart of all things, the place from which form and light are born. In the last quiet moment before everything fades into pure symmetry, a gentle thought drifts through your awareness. Perhaps this is not the end of falling, but the beginning of returning. And somewhere, beyond the curve of this silence, the faintest shimmer of energy begins to stir. A whisper of evaporation, a promise that even stillness must someday release its light. You float in stillness. Around you stretches an endless, silken expanse. A soft, shimmering sheet that hums with invisible energy. It is neither empty nor solid, yet it cradles everything that has ever been. This is spacetime, the hidden stage upon which all existence performs. You drift closer, noticing that it is not flat. It folds, dips, and sways, as though some unseen wind moves through it. Every planet, every star, every wandering atom presses gently into this vast weave, tugging the threads into curves and hollows. You see how Earth rests in one of these gentle dimples, held securely in the sun's embrace, orbiting not because of an invisible pull, but because it glides along the curved paths of space itself. Einstein's whisper seems to echo through the fabric. Mass tells space how to curve, and space tells mass how to move. You trace your hand through the unseen threads. The surface quivers like liquid light beneath your touch. It feels alive, responsive. You realize that when a planet moves, the fabric shivers. When a star collapses, it trembles. When a black hole forms, the fabric folds inward, endlessly deep. Gravity, then, is not a force reaching out across distance, but the soft geometry of this fabric. A bending, a surrender. Imagine a marble rolling across a trampoline. When the surface dips beneath your hand, the marble's path curves toward it. The marble does not feel a pull. It simply follows the natural shape of the surface. In just this way, the moon dances around Earth, Earth around the sun, and the sun itself around the heart of the Milky Way, each one tracing an invisible groove in spacetime's flow. You can almost hear the rhythm of it, the quiet hum of celestial motion. The stars move not with urgency but with grace, their journeys long and circular, like lullabies written in orbits. Now let your mind drift toward time. It is harder to see, but you can feel it. Flowing, patient, always forward. Imagine time not as a ticking clock, but as a river, winding through the fabric of space. You are carried upon it without effort. The river moves through galaxies and through you, carving moments the way water shapes stone. For every observer in the universe, the current of that river feels a little different. A clock near a planet ticks slower than one in open space. The closer you fall into a massive body's gravity, the slower time itself drips past you. In the deepest valleys of spacetime, in black holes, time nearly halts. You imagine standing at the edge of such a well. You drop a beam of light into the darkness and watch it bend, curling like silk down into the unseen. The fabric there is stretched so thin that even light cannot climb free. To an outside observer, your signal would fade, slow, and then stop altogether, frozen in time's slow syrup. Yet from your own perspective, time flows naturally. You feel it passing as always, soft, seamless, familiar. The river carries you, even when it seems to stand still. This is the quiet paradox Einstein uncovered, that space and time are not separate, but two expressions of one vast continuum. When you move through space, you also move through time. To rest completely in one means to move infinitely in the other. It is a balance so perfect it feels like breathing, the inhalation of space, the exhalation of time. You picture a traveler aboard a ship gliding near the edge of a black hole. To them, seconds stretch into minutes, minutes into hours. Far away, someone watching their voyage would see them slowing, moving through syrupy time. For the traveler, though, the world feels unchanged, steady, serene, uninterrupted. Their heart beats, their breath moves, but the universe beyond seems to age in a single blink. You realize, then, that time is not one river, but many interwoven streams flowing at different speeds, merging and diverging across the fabric. And yet, each of us feels our own current as steady. We are carried by it without choice, lulled forward by its rhythm. Look closer still at the fabric beneath you. It quivers with faint ripples, gravitational waves, the quiet echoes of ancient cosmic events. Somewhere, eons ago, two black holes collided, their embrace shaking the universe. Those ripples have traveled ever since, stretching and squeezing space itself as they pass through everything. Even now, through you, the disturbance is small, smaller than a proton, yet real. The whole cosmos, it seems, hums with memory. Every vibration, every wave, every fold tells a story of what has been. Space remembers. You begin to see why physicists call it a fabric. It is not metaphor, but truth disguised in softness. A tapestry that bends, shivers, and sings. A sheet that carries time within its threads. And as you float there, you notice how the lines of space curve smoothly into the direction of time. No seam, no border. The two are inseparable, as though drawn with a single stroke. Where one bends, the other flows. You drift with the current of that realization. The universe becomes a loom, weaving together the pattern of existence. Galaxies are beads of light strung along invisible threads. Time, the shuttle that passes between them, gives form and continuity to their dance. You imagine pulling at one thread, perhaps the sun's gravity or the turning of Earth, and seeing how the entire fabric adjusts, subtly, endlessly. Nothing stands apart. Every motion, however small, tugs on everything else. You are part of that weave too. Your body has mass, however slight, and so you bend space a little around you. Time, near your beating heart, flows a tiny bit differently than it does across the room. You are not in the universe. You are of it, a curve, a shimmer, a fleeting fold in its vast design. As you breathe, the thought slows you further. You are resting in the current of spacetime itself. The river carries you, the fabric holds you. You are both suspended and in motion, timeless and transient all at once. You close your eyes and feel gravity's quiet lullaby, the pull not downward, but inward, toward the center of being. The universe, you realize, is not something to look at, but something to feel from within. Somewhere far away, the ripples continue, the fabric continues to move. Time stretches on, patient and gentle, a river that never runs dry. And as you drift along it, you sense another question forming at the edge of thought. A question about what flows beyond this fabric, where time itself may fray, or fold, or give birth to something new. You drift toward the heart of darkness. The stars behind you fade into whispers of light, swallowed by the great curve of spacetime. You do not fall quickly. You drift, slowly, peacefully, as if carried by an unseen current, toward a place where the universe folds in upon itself. Around you, the geometry of space trembles, bending softly, as though breathing. You are entering the domain of gravity's deepest secret, the singularity. At first, it seems like silence. But in that silence lives a hum, a low, ancient vibration, felt more than heard. It's the sound of matter collapsing beyond comprehension, where density becomes infinite, and every known law begins to dissolve. You can't see the singularity, not because it hides, but because light itself cannot return from it. This is the ultimate inwardness, the moment when the universe turns itself inside out. You remember how the story began. A star, massive and luminous, burning for eons. Its core fused elements in waves of light, building heavier atoms, giving birth to the chemistry of life. But the star's fuel ran out, its inner fire dimmed, and gravity, patient and relentless, began to pull it inward. Collapse followed, unstoppable, folding the star tighter and tighter until all of its essence was contained within a point smaller than imagination could hold. That point is where you now float, or rather, where the meaning of place itself begins to unravel. To approach the singularity is to approach the edge of understanding. You feel the stretch of time, how seconds elongate, how moments fall away from one another like droplets separating midair. Einstein predicted this, that near such immense gravity, time would slow, warped by curvature. A clock held near the event horizon ticks more slowly than one far away. From the outside, you appear frozen. From the inside, you move gently forward, never feeling the boundary, only the deepening sense of gravity's cradle tightening around you. Imagine a fabric, smooth, endless, pliant. That is spacetime. Now imagine pressing your finger into it, deeper and deeper, until the fabric no longer stretches but tears. The tear is the singularity. a place where our mathematics stops making sense, where equations divide by zero, and infinity whispers its quiet, impossible presence. Physicists speak of it with reverence and caution. They know that somewhere within this impossibility lies the clue to a greater truth. Perhaps the union of gravity and quantum mechanics, perhaps a new language of reality altogether. You are not afraid. The calmness of the black hole is profound. Its violence is only apparent from afar. Inside, everything is symmetry and surrender. You feel no pulling, no tearing, only an enveloping stillness, like floating at the bottom of a deep ocean. Time becomes spacious here. You can think of a lifetime in a single breath. You can see galaxies form and fade like ripples on the surface of an infinite pond. What does it mean, you wonder, to reach a point of infinite density? Not the crushing of atoms, for atoms no longer exist here, but the convergence of all distinctions. Space and time, energy and matter, inside and outside, they merge into one pure, undivided whole. It is not destruction. It is simplification. The universe, for an instant, becomes singular in every sense of the word. And perhaps you think this singularity is not only in the hearts of black holes. Perhaps it exists in moments of your own life, in times when everything collapses inward, when meaning tightens into a single breath, a single truth, a single point beyond words. The physics of the cosmos and the physics of the soul mirror one another. Both seek equilibrium. Both find stillness through transformation. From this stillness, thought arises. What happens beyond? Some say the singularity marks the end, the death of space and time. Others imagine it as a passage, a doorway into another universe, where the matter that falls in here may emerge elsewhere, reborn as light. The mathematics of general relativity cannot tell us. It breaks at this boundary. But quantum theory whispers a different story. That information, though scrambled and distorted, may never truly vanish. Even the most complete collapse might still preserve a faint trace, like a melody lingering after the music fades. Hawking once described it as a paradox, a cosmic riddle where information seems lost but cannot be. From this paradox came the idea that black holes might not be eternal after all. They could evaporate, slowly, through the delicate process of Hawking radiation, giving back to the universe what they had once devoured. Even the darkest object, it seems, carries within it the seed of its own illumination. Energy flows outward, bit by bit, like breath released from a sleeping giant. You float closer still. The curvature intensifies. The distance between what is and what is known narrows into a line of light. You cannot tell where your body ends and gravity begins. The idea of you starts to fade, replaced by the sensation of pure continuity. Everything that was once separate now moves as one, like ink dispersing in water, merging with the vastness that surrounds it. At this threshold, your thoughts are not thoughts but waves. They expand, intertwine, and dissolve. You are both observer and observed, the scientist and the star, the falling and the fallen. You realize that to truly understand the singularity, you must release the need to see it. For seeing requires distance, and here, distance has ceased to exist. What remains is experience, raw, immediate, complete. There is a strange comfort in this surrender. The universe has been collapsing and expanding for billions of years, and every collapse carries within it the promise of rebirth. A dying star becomes a black hole. A black hole, perhaps, seeds new creation. The boundaries of beginnings and endings blur until they feel the same. You find yourself wondering whether the singularity is less a place and more a moment, the instant where change becomes inevitable, where the old form cannot sustain itself, and something entirely new prepares to emerge. You remember that even our universe began from a singularity, the Big Bang, a point of infinite density and temperature, bursting outward into space and time. The same principle, inverted. In black holes, the universe turns inward. In the Big Bang, it turned outward. The symmetry is breathtaking. The end contained in the beginning mirrored in every end. You are witnessing that cosmic rhythm, expansion and collapse, creation and dissolution, an endless dance. Perhaps, then, to dance with the singularity is to accept the rhythm of existence itself. To recognize that transformation often comes disguised as collapse. That when structures fail, when understanding falters, something deeper waits to be born. The black hole does not destroy light. It transforms it into a language we have not yet learned to hear. So too, your most mysterious moments may contain truths that cannot yet be spoken. You sense the last flicker of light from the event horizon. It bends once, then fades completely. There is no fear now, only stillness. The hum that greeted you at the beginning has softened into silence. You realize that silence, too, is a kind of sound, the sound of the universe listening to itself. You drift within it, endlessly, not lost but absorbed. And as you float in this wordless dark, you feel a subtle stirring, a pulse, a question forming. It is the whisper of quantum foam, the restless energy of spacetime itself, trembling at scales too small for sight. Even here, at the edge of everything, the universe continues to flicker with possibility. You sense it, tiny, shimmering, alive. The vibration that will lead you, softly, into the next mystery. The quantum breath beneath the void. You drift in silence, carried by the rhythm of invisible gravity. Ahead, there is darkness. Not an emptiness, but a hunger so profound that even light must bow to it. Yet around that darkness, a strange radiance blooms. A halo of fire and dust swirls endlessly, circling the unseen center. You pause in your cosmic drift to watch it, as though you've arrived at the edge of a slow and luminous storm. This is the accretion disk, the glowing veil around a black hole. It is not a thing that endures for long, but one that exists in the act of surrender. Matter falls inward, fragments of stars, wisps of gas, the relics of once shining worlds, and as it spirals closer, it heats, compresses, and begins to glow. Each orbit tightens, faster and faster, a dance growing wild at the brink of disappearance. You imagine the sound it would make if light could hum. A low, rising note of friction and fury. Atoms collide, torn apart, their electrons stripped and scattered. The temperature climbs to millions of degrees. What was once cold interstellar dust now shines brighter than entire galaxies. It is destruction, yes, but also revelation. Every particle gives up its order to feed the brightness of the whole. In that glow lies an ancient truth. Nothing is truly lost. It only changes form. You think of how your own body, too, is made of remnants once consumed in cosmic fires. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe. All were forged in dying stars, then flung outward to drift, cool, and someday find their way into you. And now, in this vision of spiraling light, you witness that cycle returning home. You float closer, feeling the pull. The light blurs into ribbons of motion, bending under the weight of gravity. Near the inner rim, time itself begins to warp. To an outside observer, every falling speck seems to slow, fading gently as if caught in an infinite pause. But from within, that same moment races forward, the matter plunging, vanishing beyond sight. Einstein's equations unfold quietly in your mind like poetry. Space-time curves. Energy transforms. Nothing escapes, yet nothing stands still. What you see is not illusion but perspective, a reminder that truth can depend on where you are watching from. The glow flickers. You notice its texture now. A woven shimmer of X-rays and ultraviolet, soft and fierce all at once. Around the black hole's poles, narrow jets of light spear outward, thin as thought and powerful enough to span thousands of light years. They seem to defy gravity's claim, like the last cries of matter refusing to disappear without a trace. These are relativistic jets, streams of charged particles guided by magnetic fields twisted to the breaking point. They blaze across the void, illuminating regions of space that have never seen a star. You wonder if somewhere, far away, another being is watching that same beam of light sweep across the cosmos, as if from a lighthouse built on the edge of infinity. The scene before you feels both violent and tender. You think of it not as destruction, but as release, the way fire releases the scent from wood, or music releases silence from within air. In this cosmic furnace, gravity and energy weave an intricate story of transformation. The infalling matter becomes a voice, and that voice becomes light. Every photon escaping this glow carries a story of compression, collision, resistance, and surrender. When it finally travels outward, through the interstellar dark, it cools and softens. Millions of years may pass before it brushes against the sensitive glass of a telescope, or perhaps the back of your own mind, as an image on a glowing screen. That light, ancient and exhausted, has crossed gulfs so vast it has forgotten where it began. And yet, here it is, still telling its tale. You close your eyes and feel its warmth against your thoughts. The accretion disk is no longer distant. It is an echo of every time you have let go of something you could not hold. A person, a moment, an idea, and found that even loss leaves behind a kind of light. The scientist in you recalls that the heat of the disk is not random. It is governed by precise laws. Angular momentum, viscosity, and magnetic turbulence dictate how matter spirals inward. But the dreamer in you knows there is another kind of law here too, the quiet rhythm of surrender and renewal. Nature never clings. It burns brightly, then releases, trusting that what dissolves will return in a new form. You breathe slowly, imagining the flow of gas like water circling a drain, but instead of vanishing, it transforms, its energy radiating outward into the night. The closer it falls, the more luminous it becomes until finally, at the edge of the event horizon, it releases everything. In that final flare, matter becomes pure energy. It is the universe's way of saying farewell in the brightest possible language. You think of how light behaves near this place. Curved, delayed, echoed. Some of it bends around the black hole completely, looping once before continuing on. This creates a faint, ghostly ring known as the photon sphere. It is the mirror of eternity. Light caught in endless orbit, neither falling nor escaping. Perfect balance. There's a strange peace in that. A reminder that even near oblivion, equilibrium exists, not in stillness, but in motion so precise it appears still. The universe, it seems, finds harmony in extremes. You let that realization settle. Around you, the swirl of plasma and light continues, timeless and patient. Somewhere in that dance, an atom that once belonged to a shattered star releases its final photon. A single breath of energy sent outward toward nowhere in particular. You follow it with your mind's eye, watching it drift through centuries, through dust clouds and dark matter, until it fades into the wider glow of the cosmos. Maybe it will end up on the sensor of a spacecraft, decades from now. Maybe it will become part of the background radiation that hums softly across the universe. Or maybe, somehow, its journey will lead back to you, in the shimmer of your skin under sunlight, or the spark of thought that flickers in your own mind as you listen now. The accretion glow teaches you that brightness is born of friction, that beauty and surrender can coexist. It reminds you that even as things fall apart, they may light the way for something else to see. The radiance around the black hole is not separate from the dark within it. Together they form a single whole, light as memory, darkness as promise. You find comfort in this paradox. Inward, everything collapses. Outward, everything shines. Between the two is the balance you have always sought, the quiet center where creation and dissolution meet. You linger in that balance for a while, breathing, weightless, surrounded by the echo of distant light. Somewhere beyond this glowing threshold, gravity continues its silent work. Matter will keep falling, light will keep rising, and the story will repeat itself, again and again. And as the last arcs of brightness fade into shadow, a new thought forms, soft, unfinished, about what happens next. When even light itself begins to fade, you imagine space not as empty, but as a quiet sea, a vast, invisible ocean stretching in every direction. Within it, black holes drift like heavy dancers, their steps unseen but deeply felt. They do not sit still. They wander, drawn by gravity's hidden choreography, moving in long, slow arcs that can last millions of years. Around them, stars orbit, light bends, and time itself leans toward their pull. You feel that motion now, patient, immense, serene. Somewhere, far beyond the sight of any telescope, two black holes drift toward one another. Their dance begins not with speed, but with listening, each sensing the other's gravity across light years of distance. Their fields of attraction stretch and twist space between them, weaving invisible threads through the cosmic fabric. Over eons, they spiral closer, like partners circling across a floor of starlight and silence. You imagine their motion as sound. If space could hum, it would hum with their gravity. Each orbit sends a pulse through spacetime, a low vibration that travels outward like a breath through water. These pulses are gravitational waves, ripples not of air or light, but of the fabric of reality itself. When they pass through you, you would never notice. They are smaller than atoms, fainter than whispers, and yet they cross galaxies. They move through planets, through people, through thought. You close your eyes and listen. The universe is always moving, always singing. A quiet music written in curvature. Black holes in motion reshape space around them. A single one, gliding through the galaxy, bends the stars like a lens of gravity, distorting their light into curved halos. You might not see the black hole itself, it hides perfectly in its own shadow, but you would see what it does to the world around it. Like a dancer leaving ripples on a mirrored floor, its path is marked by distortion and reflection. Everything bends to its rhythm. When two black holes orbit one another, they lose energy. Not by friction or resistance, but by sending waves into the universe, waves of pure geometry. Each orbit becomes slightly smaller, slightly faster, as energy leaks away into spacetime itself. For millions of years they spiral inward, slowly, like two leaves caught in a whirlpool. And then, suddenly, in the last moment, they merge. The universe trembles. For a heartbeat of cosmic time, space ripples like the surface of a pond after a stone's fall. In 2015, humanity heard that tremor. LIGO, a pair of immense detectors on Earth, felt the faintest stretch and squeeze of space, smaller than the width of a proton. It was the echo of two black holes merging over 1 billion light-years away. For the first time, humans did not see the cosmos. They heard it. The universe spoke not in light but in gravity. It was as if a door had opened. The silent became audible. You imagine standing beneath the stars that night, knowing that the entire Earth had trembled to the rhythm of something that happened before the first humans ever existed. That wave had traveled longer than life itself. And yet it arrived here, quietly, folding through our planet, through your chest, through this moment. You begin to realize, black holes are not monsters of destruction. They are sculptors of rhythm, shaping the structure of galaxies and the flow of time. Their gravity is not violence, it is pattern. It holds stars together, it organizes chaos into harmony. When galaxies collide, their central black holes spiral toward one another, merging at last to anchor the newborn galaxy's heart. What seems like ruin is really renewal. Imagine now, the Milky Way drifting toward Andromeda. Two spiral galaxies slowly approaching, their arms stretched wide like dancers nearing a final embrace. In 4 billion years, they will touch. Stars will scatter and reform. Their central black holes will circle each other, centuries upon centuries of gravitational anticipation, until they, too, unite. In that moment, a new song will ripple outward across the universe. A note in the endless cosmic waltz. You are a listener to that rhythm, though your body is made of slower matter, of cells, of breath, of heartbeat. But the pattern is the same. Your heart pulses like a small gravity wave, rippling through your bloodstream, shaping the fabric of your own small cosmos. The universe dances within you, and you, unknowingly, dance with it. There is a strange comfort in knowing that everything moves. Even the stillness of night is a kind of motion, the Earth spinning, orbiting, drifting through the Milky Way, which itself drifts through a cluster, which drifts through the expanding web of all that exists. Black holes do not resist this flow. They are part of it, like anchors that both hold and release. Their movement reminds you that nothing in the universe is truly alone. Every orbit is a relationship, every merger a reunion. You imagine time itself as part of this dance, bending, stretching, slowing near the black hole's embrace. To an outside observer, the final merge seems to freeze, suspended forever on the edge of completion. But from within, it happens in an instant. Two perspectives, two tempos, yet both true. The universe does not rush. It simply unfolds at different scales of patience. And when the merged black hole settles, the ripples fade. Space quiets again. The waves weaken as they travel, spreading across light years, passing unnoticed through the dust of nebulae and the empty cold between stars. Somewhere, perhaps now, a wave from that event still moves, stretching the space around your body by less than the width of an atom. You do not feel it, but it is there. A silent signature, a memory of movement. You take a breath, feeling how even air moves with you, expanding, contracting, flowing through. You are part of the same continuum that carries those cosmic waves. Your existence, too, bends space ever so slightly. Every motion, every heartbeat, leaves a trace. And in that awareness, you sense how the universe and you are never separate, only different notes in the same endless song. The black holes, the galaxies, the cells in your hands, all waltzing to gravity's timeless rhythm. As you drift deeper into stillness, the waves of thought slow, merging like those two ancient black holes into one soft presence. Steady, immense, silent. And yet, somewhere beyond that silence, something else begins to stir. A question about the shape of space itself, and what it means for a universe that is still expanding, still becoming. You are drifting now through a deep and ancient silence. A silence so complete it almost hums. Ahead, the cosmos folds inward, where gravity has gathered light itself into a single, unyielding curve. A black hole. It does not shine, yet you can feel its presence, the way you might sense a storm before it breaks. A stillness that hides immense power. You hover near its edge, the event horizon, the invisible boundary where light decides whether to stay or be lost. Time stretches here. Seconds become centuries, and motion becomes memory. To approach is to feel the fabric of reality bend, as though the universe itself were breathing slower, deeper, heavier. You might think this place is eternal, a perfect prison for everything that dares come too close. Yet even this darkness has a story of letting go. The tale begins with heat, or rather, the tiniest flicker of it. Around every black hole, space is never truly empty. Even in the void, invisible pairs of particles constantly appear and vanish. A quiet dance of creation and cancellation, happening everywhere, all the time. These are quantum whispers, the briefest breaths of existence. Normally, the pairs appear together and fade together, leaving no trace. But near the edge of a black hole, gravity stretches their bond. One particle falls in, the other escapes. The one that escapes becomes a faint pulse of light, a soft sigh of energy drifting away. Over unimaginable ages, these sighs accumulate, the slow exhalation of a black hole. You picture it now, the black hole glowing faintly, like an ember in the cold dark, its heat too gentle to feel, its light too slow to see. This is Hawking radiation. Not a burst, not a flame, but the gradual undoing of the universe's deepest secret. It is strange and beautiful that something defined by taking can also give. For billions of years, black holes consume stars, dust, entire worlds. They gather the fallen, the forgotten, the remains of cosmic life. Yet at the end, they return it all, bit by bit, as warmth. You imagine being close enough to sense it, the faintest shimmer rippling across space, like the breath of something enormous finally beginning to rest. Each photon, each tiny unit of light, carries away a story once thought lost forever. The mass of the black hole shrinks, imperceptibly, but persistently. There is patience in this process, an almost sacred slowness. A black hole the mass of our sun would take 1067 years to fade completely, far longer than the age of the universe itself. The larger ones will last even longer. But time, to the universe, is not a concern. It waits gently without hurry, and as you float there, it strikes you. Even darkness evaporates. Even what seems infinite will someday end. The radiation that leaks away does more than dissolve the black hole. It restores balance. For every particle lost to gravity, another is set free. The universe, it seems, does not forget how to share. But there's a mystery hidden here, one that still hums at the heart of physics. When the black hole vanishes, what happens to the information it held? Every atom, every particle that fell in the pattern of what once was, does it disappear too? Information, the scientists say, cannot be destroyed. Yet the black hole seems to promise otherwise. It swallows not just matter, but memory. What becomes of the map of everything that entered? Does it linger somewhere within the radiation? Does it echo in the ripples of spacetime itself? Or is the universe learning to rewrite its own story? You drift closer, listening. The horizon no longer feels like a wall, but a mirror, shimmering softly, rippling with the faintest distortions. Perhaps the information is not lost, only transformed, woven into the heat, encoded in the vibration of light. The black hole, once thought mute, might still be whispering, in a language the cosmos has not yet learned to translate. In the vast quiet, the thought becomes comforting, that even loss can carry meaning, that even disappearance can be a form of release. You close your eyes, imagining the black hole as a teacher of patience, a reminder that endings need not be abrupt. The universe unravels its mysteries slowly, tenderly, like silk pulled through fingers. Every photon it lets go is a soft note in an endless song. The scene drifts further now. You begin to see the life of a black hole as a story of transformation. The collapse of a star into darkness. The gathering of light into silence. The return of silence into light again. There is symmetry in that cycle, not destruction but completion. You recall how stars, too, die by giving. Their cores collapse, but their outer layers scatter into space, seeding new worlds. The black hole is simply the final verse of that same song. Slower, quieter, almost imperceptible. In time, eons beyond eons, when even galaxies fade and the night grows still, the last black holes will shine their final flickers. For one final instant, the cosmos will shimmer with a faint, ghostly warmth, the last light of the universe's longest-lived companions. And then, perhaps, silence will return. But it will not be the silence of absence. It will be the silence of completion, the hush that follows a symphony, when every note has found its place, and nothing more needs to be said. You drift through that vision now, through the slow dissolution of the cosmos. It feels neither sad nor frightening. Feels like rest, like the universe, after uncountable ages of creation, has finally taken a deep breath and exhaled. Somewhere in that darkness, a single particle slips free, the last breath of a black hole. It carries with it the memory of everything that once was: stars, time, gravity, wonder. It rises gently, a final spark fading into the fabric of what remains. You follow it with your eyes, tracing its quiet arc across the endless dark. It does not vanish, it joins the whole, the grand weave of what the cosmos becomes next. The lesson lingers. Nothing is truly lost. Energy only changes form, matter only moves through story, and even the deepest shadows eventually learn how to shine. You exhale slow and easy. Somewhere, a black hole breathes with you, and as the light of its last whisper fades, a question stirs, soft, like the turning of a page. If even darkness can evaporate, what, then, does it mean for the universe to end? To be continued. You float in silence, carried by the faint pull of starlight. Behind you, the black hole diminishes into a perfect absence. Not a wound in the universe, but a mirror, polished by time itself. Its darkness is no longer frightening. Feels like rest, like the moment between breaths, when everything pauses before beginning again. You sense the quiet rhythm of the cosmos, a pulse that extends through everything, from the shimmer of a single atom to the slow dance of galaxies unfurling. It is the rhythm of expansion and return, of giving and taking, of energy transforming but never truly ending. The black hole you leave behind is part of that rhythm, an inhale of the universe, drawing in matter, memory, and motion. As you drift further, you notice how space itself seems to soften. The distances between stars feel like ocean currents, smooth and unhurried. Each point of light becomes a thought, suspended in vast stillness. You begin to realize that infinity isn't a destination. It's a texture. It's the soft continuity of everything being connected by invisible threads of gravity and time. Your mind settles into that awareness. You think of all that has fallen into the black hole, stars, planets, the debris of cosmic histories, and wonder where their stories go. Perhaps they are written somewhere deeper, woven into the quantum fabric beneath spacetime. Perhaps the universe never truly forgets anything. It simply rearranges its memories into new constellations. Science tells you that black holes evaporate. They release their energy slowly, gently, through faint whispers of radiation. Even in their final moments, they give back what they once gathered. It's as though the cosmos itself knows balance, the way a forest renews after fire, or a tide retreats only to return. You imagine that faint radiation as a final breath, a last offering of light before dissolving into equilibrium. You realize then that everything follows this same quiet law. Nothing is lost. Not light, not life, not even thought. Each becomes something else, passed along like a secret. The black hole's final shimmer becomes the seed for another dawn, its end feeding another beginning. You close your eyes and imagine the universe as a living organism. Its galaxies are lungs. Its stars are cells of warmth and energy. Its dark matter, the hidden scaffold, forms a skeleton of gravity holding everything in graceful tension. And you, a drifting consciousness, are a pulse within this body, a momentary vibration among countless others. You are not separate. You never were. The realization feels gentle, like the tide of understanding moving through you. It is not knowledge in the way textbooks hold it, but wisdom that hums quietly, felt more than thought. You begin to grasp that science is not just about measurement or observation. It's also about reverence, about standing before the infinite and listening to what it whispers when words fall away. Stars pass by like slow lanterns. Their light carries messages billions of years old, the language of hydrogen and gravity, written in frequency and hue. You listen to them without needing to translate. You understand that their music is the same one that animates your own breath. Every inhale, every heartbeat, echoes their pattern. You are a brief constellation of matter, aware of itself for a moment, then dissolving back into the same cosmic rhythm. The edge of infinity isn't a border. It's a reflection. The further you drift, the more you realize that there is no true separation between observer and observed. The telescope and the sky are parts of one instrument. The scientist and the mystery are two sides of one mirror. The universe looks at itself through you. Somewhere, far behind, the black hole continues its patient work, still pulling, still transforming, still teaching through its silence. You think of all the theories humans built to understand it: general relativity, quantum gravity, Hawking radiation. Each theory, no matter how complex, is just a way of touching the infinite with language, a way of saying we see you to the darkness. Yet beyond the equations, there is a feeling that no formula can capture, the stillness of being part of something vast, unmeasurable, and kind. You drift in that kindness now. The stars hum softly around you, their gravity folding into a lullaby. Time becomes fluid, not a straight line, but a slow-turning wave, wrapping you in its motion. You remember how every ending has carried within it a seed of continuation. Galaxies collide, stars die, black holes evaporate, and still the universe expands. Each loss creates space for something new. Even your own thoughts, fading now, become part of that cycle, disappearing into silence, re-emerging as light. You look toward the distant curve of the cosmos, where the faint microwave afterglow of the Big Bang still lingers like the memory of a first breath. You realize that you've come full circle, from the birth of hydrogen to the death of stars, from the pull of gravity to the release of light. It has always been one continuous inhale and exhale, one vast meditation, repeated across eons. The cosmos is breathing, and you are within that breath. Every black hole, every photon, every heartbeat participates in the same eternal motion. Contraction and release. It's not destruction, it's rhythm, the pulse of being. As you float at the edge of infinity, you no longer ask what lies beyond. The question itself dissolves, replaced by stillness. You understand that curiosity, too, is a form of love, the universe reaching out to know itself through your wondering. Your body becomes lighter, more diffuse, until you feel yourself blending into the starlight. Thought slows, like sediment settling in deep water. What remains is presence, a quiet awareness that even the infinite is intimate when you listen closely enough. And there, in that final quiet, you sense the faintest echo from the black hole. Not a voice, but a feeling. Says, everything returns, even light, even you. You drift onward, the edge of infinity no longer a boundary, but a horizon that breathes.